Hey everybody, what's up? As you can see, I have the box set of Sonic the Hedgehog Sat AM as my cover base here for my monthly opinions for July 2011 on the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise and comic book. You might notice that it's a little shiny, this one. The reason is this box set is one that I have not yet opened. It's not like the one I have in the rec room. This one is yet to be opened. I have kept it sealed since 2007, and I have not opened it since. I am thinking still about framing it. I just got to find a good frame or some kind of frame that goes with it, or at least saving it for just in case of an emergency. You know, like if something happens to the other one. But anyway, let's get into my opinions of the franchise this month, shall we? Now, as you just heard on my review for Sonic the Hedgehog 227, I gave it a 9 out of 10, a step down from the last issue. The reason for that is because, to me it was good, but I think there's just some flaws there, and also, hopefully they'll step it up a bit next month. I will say this, Ian Flynn, despite how we feel about the guy, and I have respect for the guy despite the fact that he, just seems to always be manipulating a lot of the people on his forums, manipulating a lot of people that read the comic. I will say, out of respect for him being the only Sonic fan that I know that's gone from being a fan of the comic to being the writer of the comic, I will say this, he is at least acknowledging a few things that a lot of fans have had trouble acknowledging sometimes as well. Now, in this issue, one of the things I pointed out in my review is that he acknowledged the fact that Sally finally does something that she didn't do, obviously, in the original earlier comics, basically like when Sally was pink and all that. She does something that she didn't acknowledge and didn't say, obviously, in Sat AM either. And what Ian did is he had to finally explain to Sonic that this Antoine, who is yet to regain his memories of who he really is, that Antoine is not her boyfriend, and that they're just close friends. Now, again, some people may interpret the fact that close friends could mean, okay, you're just one step away from being more than that. But I think Ian is trying to acknowledge that there's something between Sally and Sonic that's going to spark. Now, the one thing I will say is I like the fact that he's throwing in these little bits of hints to the characters and making them remember who they are and where they came from. And to them, how it feels like, everything just seems right. That everything is cool. That like certain things just have a certain feel to them, and they feel that, it's just, it's okay. Like when Sonic thought that Antoine fell to his death in this issue. Sally and Roto are like, you know what, it's okay. We feel that he's alright, and that he'll be back. I mean, Sally even acknowledges that he can't be gone because that isn't right. Now, some people may interpret that as part of saying, okay, if he's not supposed to be gone, could it be her? Is she the one that's supposed to die? See, a lot of people want to know, but no one really knows. And, speaking of Sally, a lot of people are still arguing over the fact, or debating over the fact whether Ian Flynn will actually pull the trigger. After reading this issue, some people may say, well, he may have another means of having her die. And that means, and those means are probably by having her do a heroic sacrifice in this Genesis deal. But we don't know. But we don't know. You see, We don't really know exactly what's going to happen. Exactly. Okay? But, you know, here's the thing. If Ian decides to go in the direction of having her make a heroic sacrifice in the Genesis arc, then maybe in Ian Flynn's mind, that might make up for the so-called stupidity that he did with the killing her off-screen deal. Now again, Ian Flynn is doing his best to throw people off. I mean, there's somebody in the letters page of this issue that said, hey look, I'm a fan of the comic, I've dropped many other comics in favor of this one, I just don't want to have to drop this one because you're trying to give it to the new readers. Again, I don't think he's trying to give it to the new readers, honestly. And if he is, you know, as a lot of people say, it's one of the dumbest mistakes he's making. But then again, we really don't know. We really don't know. Now, maybe a part of this whole thing is to introduce the new readers who are introduced to the comics from the video games. Maybe it's their way of trying to introduce them to the characters that, you know, to the characters of Stat AM, basically those that, from a gaming fan's standpoint, gave it a bad rap. So, you know, honestly, that's what I feel could be. Maybe a part of this is to introduce the newer readers to sort of an origin of how it all began, merged with game elements, merged along, mixed in with game elements. Now, overall, though, I think Ian's got something big planned. You know, he's not really going to say, you know, Ian says it's, you know, what Ian says he has planned is going to affect the, you know, the world that the characters are in, the comic itself, the storyline, the story arc, the timeline and all that for the next year. Or something like that. It's going to affect the characters for the next year. What it is, we don't know. Now, again, speculation still is out there as to who could be the one that dies, or whose life hangs in the balance. You know, a lot of people say it's Sally. In fact, a few people on certain art sites like DeviantArt have drawn up what they believe could be that very scene if it is indeed Sally. Now, a lot of people feel it's somebody else. A lot of people feel it's Nicole. Now, some people have actually brought some logic into possibly it being Nicole. One, the way Nicole's character in the stories, in recent stories, has been portrayed. I mean, Nicole, according to some people at sites like at message boards from sites like Saturday AM Sonic and Saturday Morning Sonic and Sonic Stadium, a lot of them feel that she has gone through so much ridicule, I can't even pronounce it, ridicule, due to the fact that she was taken over temporarily by the Iron Queen, and that unbeknownst to a lot of them, she was actually a double agent. But she couldn't really reveal herself except to a certain few. So, again, this is logically, from some fan standpoints, the best means is to say it could be Nicole. Because now, before this whole situation, you have the Acorn Cafe, not the Acorn Cafe, but you have the Council of Acorn, as well as a majority of the citizenship in New Mobotropolis, you know, wanting Nicole shut down because of what happened with the Iron Dominion, and the fact that they can't trust her. They don't know if she's on their side or not. You see, basically, storyline-wise, in the comic, these citizens, along with the council, all fear that Nicole could short-circuit again and go back to being Iron Nicole. That's what they fear. So again, what better way, I guess, in Ian Flynn's mind, to build up a character like Nicole for possibly a heroic sacrifice? In Ian Flynn's mind, if those that believe Ian Flynn is thinking about doing that or has already done that and just waiting for it to be published in the next few issues, if Ian has gone and done that, we don't know. Now, speaking of the next few months, again, as I mentioned at the end of my review, the memories of the characters are supposed to come back even stronger and resurface even stronger next issue and possibly in September. But then 230 is the one that a lot of fans are looking forward to, because they don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, what the resolution is going to be. I mean, I've come out and given my own opinion as a fan that I believe this is eventually going to lead to Eggman possibly going back into the insane asylum, if you will, or back into insanity, because even his biggest, most epic plan to finally rule the world and beat Sonic backfires on him again. So, again, that's just my opinion as a fan, that I believe that's what it could lead towards. And basically we're going to see the introduction of a new villain, or villainess, or return of a villain or villainess to take Eggman's place. You see, a lot of fans are hoping that eventually the new main villain after Dr. Eggman will be Eggman Nada. That's what they're hoping. But we don't know that yet. We don't know that. So we'll just have to wait and see what occurs after Genesis and after 230. So we'll have to wait and see. Overall, I'll say this. You know, Genesis is turning out to be pretty good, but I think mainly, as I mentioned earlier, I think, like one person said in the letters page, it's basically possibly, and a lot of people have even said this as well, message boards, and it's just possibly Ian's way of introducing the characters that have been with the comic for the past 18 years to the newer readers that have recently gotten into the comics thanks to the more recent games being put out over the past decade or so, and mixing it in with some game elements, so it'll be like, oh, okay, so to I guess in Ian's mind say, okay, I get it. You know, they are part of the game franchise, they're just not in the game entirely. They're part of the franchise, they're just not in the games. You see, a lot of people, including previous writers and all that, have all said that these characters in this comic is a different continuity than what you see in the games. So perhaps putting a mixture of game element into it will give them an idea like, okay, they are part of the franchise, it's just a different part of the franchise. You know, like a different continuity of the franchise. So, you know, that's what I think. And speaking of games, apparently Sonic Generations has been doing very well from what I understand, demo-wise. I think the game's out already, and I think it's been doing good. I don't know just yet the sales records on it, if it is out. And I also understand that Archie Comics, and mainly the Sonic comic, have their own panel currently this week, or had their own panel this past week at the San Diego Comic-Con. And if any of you went to the Comic-Con and went to the Archie Comics panel, or the Sonic panel there, comment down below, tell me how it was, and tell me if Ian Flynn was there, and if maybe anybody questioned him about what was going on. I would just love to see what he has to say about that. Okay, one last thing I want to talk about is a character that a lot of people have been talking about lately. People have been doing videos on. People have been speculating as to what could have happened to this character, and that's Hershey the Cat. A lot of people were surprised, like myself, to find out that Hershey was supposedly killed, dead, if you will. And a lot of people have been speculating on what happened to her. Now, from what the letters page said last issue in 226, the whole Hershey the Cat thing will be revealed very soon. So apparently Hershey is still alive, possibly, but we don't know where she is or how she could be alive. You see, a lot of fans are speculating that perhaps the fact that Hershey was legionized. Can you believe that? Perhaps the fact that Hershey, could you believe that fact that, some fans speculate that Hershey could have been legionized? That's one of the speculations. Some probably will speculate, like myself, that maybe she was one of the prisoners that was forced to gather up, as a slave, gather up all these power rings for the death egg. And many feel maybe she was just, something else happened. No one really knows. But there are people speculating. The strongest speculation and rumor that some people have said they heard is the possibility that she was legionized. But is she in a category as to being now pure evil, or is she in the category of duck-billed platypus with the Down of the Freedom Fighters in the Knuckles story arc for Sonic Universe? Could it be that duck-billed platypus, who's a good guy but is a spy as a Dark Egg Legion Grandmaster, could the same thing could be said for Hershey? Is she a spy for good as possibly a Grandmaster or Grand Mistress for the Dark Egg Legion? We don't know. We don't know, folks. That is speculation that a lot of fans have right now. And that's the strongest rumor and speculation they have, is the fact that Hershey could be legionized. But we won't really know the answer to that until the near future. We don't know if we're going to get the answers here in the main comic. We don't know if we're going to get the answers in the Sonic Universe comic, but we will get the answers eventually from what we understand very soon. So, but overall, those are just some of the topics I want to cover here on my opinions for this month, July 2011. Comment down below if you like. Tell me what you think, and I will talk to you all later.